In 2019, YouTube was caught violating the Child Online Privacy Protection Act, or COPPA. Since settling, YouTube has enacted new policies that are meant to serve as a smokescreen so they can dodge responsibility and scapegoat creators. As such, for my own protection, it is my obligation to advise you that this video is not aimed at children. My target audience is not children. Parental discretion is advised. Hey guys, how's everyone doing? This is Sir Jedi Sentinel, and welcome back to Sentinel Reviews. Today we are looking at Doctor Who Flux, Chapter 4, Village of the Angels. As always, there is a blanket spoiler warning in place because I do these unscripted, so it's in place just in case I talk about spoilers. As you can see, we have bad lighting again, because I'm doing this at night again. So, my review was late. It didn't come out Monday like normal, because I did an entire update video explaining what was going on. Just real life scheduling things. And today, Tuesday, November 23rd, I didn't get a chance to watch the episode until late afternoon, and it's almost 11 o'clock at night, and I'm just now recording it. Which means it's probably going to be another day late. Either Wednesday night, Thursday morning. Why? Simply because, after I shoot this review, I then have to edit it, render it, and upload it. Editing and uploading are easy. Rendering is a pain because it takes so much time. And like I said, it's almost 11 o'clock at night. I'm not doing that tonight. So anyway, Village of the Angels, the 4th episode of Doctor Who. Actually, before we begin, there is one more thing I want to address about Doctor Who Flux as a whole, before I get into the episode specifically. I've been seeing on Twitter a lot of critiques about how Flux isn't accessible to new viewers. Like, if new viewers were to jump in with Flux as their first series, they would be so lost. And my thing is, okay, and like, this is Jodie Whittaker's 3rd season as the Doctor, and as you get later into a show, not just Doctor Who, but any show, you're allowed to go deeper into the story, deeper into the mythos, lore, what have you about it, narrative, whatever you'd call it, about the show. You don't need, as you get further into the show, you don't need to keep being accessible to new viewers. If they happen to pick up the show and want to see more, they can watch what they saw and start over. But, it's like, and plus, Doctor Who has plenty of jumping on points, The show, with a new Doctor, it can, but with the current Doctor, it can't just keep restarting itself. And, look at me. I've told this story before. I didn't start Doctor Who until 2013. My first season was Series 8. Series 8 is a terrible starting point. Anyway, with that tangent aside, let's get into Village of the Angels. This was a good story. It's an improvement over Once Upon Time, but it's not as good as War of the Sontarans, which I think is the highlight of the season thus far. We still have 2 episodes left. So I will say, I think right now, again, it depends on what the other 2 episodes have in store for us, this is the 2nd best episode of the season. Like, I really enjoyed this. So, simply put, the Doctor and company find themselves in a little village in the 1960s, where they run into Claire Brown, who we briefly met in the Halloween Apocalypse. Right before an angel caught up to her. Actually, real quick, too, I want to talk about this just very briefly as well. The angels have been redesigned. I don't mind it. I don't think most people will notice. It's very subtle. Like, really the only thing that's changed is the shape of the face, both in their regular forms and their more growly monster face. Like, the forehead's bigger and the jaw's smaller. That's really all there is to it. Consulting my notes here. Oh, interestingly enough, we know Chris Chibnall wrote all of Flux, except one episode, which he co-wrote with Maxine Alderton, who wrote The Haunting of Villa Diodati. This is that episode. That's all I want to bring attention to it, because The thing is, so far in my experience, with stories that are co-written or have multiple writers, I couldn't really tell what was one writer's contribution and what was another. Like, in books or even one audio I've heard, which was co-written, I could tell, like, oh, this is that one writer. Oh, this is the other writer. Here, not so much. Anyway, I'm kind of putting off talking about the episode. That's because, like I said, it's good. It's great. But there's just not a lot to talk about. Save for the ending, which I don't even know if I want to talk about because, I'm trying to give my broad thoughts and not get into spoilers so much. I will say I really like Jodie Whittaker's performance here, mainly across the board, but in particular in regards to the Angels, because the new series really wants to put the Weeping Angels on the same tier of threat level as the Daleks or the Cybermen. But personally, I don't think it's just ever succeeded. And personally, I don't think the Angels deserve to be held in that high regard. Because they're not malicious like the Daleks. They're not trying to convert the human race by, like, the Cybermen. The Weeping Angels are basically xenomorphs from the Alien franchise, They are animals, and they are doing what their instincts compel them to do. To us, what they do is monstrous, but as animals, because we're their prey, and that's what the show does. The show constantly talks about them as being predators. To us, because we're their prey, what they're doing is monstrous, but really, they are animals just doing what their instincts compel them to do to survive. But one thing I'll say, if the show is trying to put the Weeping Angels on the same tier as, like, the Daleks, this episode gets it really close because of Jodie Whittaker's performance. Like, she sells just how terrifying the Weeping Angels are in a way that I don't think David Tennant or Matt Smith ever accomplished. Yaz is also really good in this story. I kind of started to notice that the best, Yaz's best stories, her best character stuff, are really when she gets to play into her backstory of being a cop. For example, Yaz, and when the Doctor, Yaz, and Dan arrive in this village, they come in the middle of sort of a hunt, sort of a search. There we go, a search. A little girl has gone missing, who we know has been displaced by the Angels, and the Doctor and Yaz, as a cop, sort of takes over the search. She asks her guardians all these pertinent questions about where does she go, who are her friends, what are her interests, in the hopes of trying to find her. And the problem is, like, Yaz and Dan's subplot is such a small part of the episode. Like, so little time is given to it. Also, the larger arc is also given so little time in this episode. Up until everything comes kind of together, because Belle is back, we still find her searching for Vinder, and she comes to sort of this sanctuary planet, where she meets someone who says that someone is coming to take everyone to a new safe haven. And this savior, is Azur, who is actually trapping everyone in Passenger. And the only interesting thing about this, and to see where it goes, is that Belle knows what the Passengers are. And so that's interesting. I hope we kind of get Belle's backstory. I doubt it, but I do kind of want to know more about what she knows what the Passengers are. Does Vinder know what the Passengers are? I think all of that could lead to interesting stuff down the line in the remaining 2 episodes. But like I said, the larger story arc of Flux doesn't really come into play until the end. The side characters in this story are all really good. So we have the Dr. Yaz and Dan. Yeah, Dan doesn't really get a lot to do in this story. He kind of gets the short end of the stick for once, but John Bishop is still charismatic enough that, he's still engaging. Let's see. But, you know, we meet a lot. The side characters in this story are all good. Let me flip the page in my notes to try and talk to make sure I got all their names. Like, we have Professor Jericho, who was really enjoyable. I liked him so much. He, for me, was probably the best part of this episode. We also have Peggy, the aforementioned little girl who goes missing, who's enjoyable enough, and this mysterious woman named Mrs. Hayward, who's trying to get everyone to leave the village. And I really like what they do with her. It's inconsequential, but it's real. I think it's really well handled. The angels themselves are really well handled. Like, I feel like Time of the Angels, Flesh and Stone, and the Angels Take Manhattan were trying to expand on the Weeping Angels mythos and the Weeping Angels lore and their history and what they were. And for the most part, not great. Like, the Statue of Liberty is a weeping angel. Still stupid. Even the explanation in Carnival of Angels that there are various subspecies of angels and the Statue of Liberty is something called a greater angel, it's still stupid. Speaking of which, as far as expanding on Weeping Angel mythos and lore, Carnival of Angels from the Diary of River Song Series 7 is the only good story to do it. It does it good, and it's a great story. But anyway, back to that. It seems in response to that, this story is really stripping back the Weeping Angels. There really is no expansion to them, so to speak. You know, a lot of the stuff we learned in previous in previous angel stories comes back here. You know, like, that which holds the image of an angel becomes an angel. So, for example, Claire, you know, not knowing why, was drawing these images of angels, and later, in a really cool scene, the angel comes to life out of that drawing. Or the Doctor rigs up Professor Jericho's old television to watch the angels invade his house, and they try to break out through his TV. Oh, speaking of which, the best part of this story is the atmosphere surrounding the Doctor's plot and the angels. You know, it's this very moody, dark, very tense atmosphere, and Sega Nakanola's score just lends itself so brilliantly to that. As I said, Claire is great, and they even do some interesting things with her I really like. First of all, the effects look really bad on her. Like, she looks at her reflection in a mirror and she sees she has angel wings. The angel wings look really fucking stupid. I'm not gonna lie. Like, excuse me. As soon as I saw those angel wings, I laughed. It was bad. But they do something interesting here. So Claire is a psychic of some sort. Like, they don't go too much into it, but she's basically a seer. She has visions of the future. And she had a vision of the angels. And, you know, that which contains the image of an angel becomes an angel. Because of that vision, Claire is turning into an angel. And I just thought that was absolutely brilliant. Like, you know, like, psychics and weeping angels, that's not something I'd have ever thought of, but it was so well done. And then we kind of, and like I said, towards the end with the Doctor's plot, everything kind of comes back to the larger arc at hand. So we learn that this is kind of a rogue angel. This is kind of the weaker part of the story, that the angel speaks through Claire and tells the Doctor what she is. She's a rogue angel. All of these angels are coming to extract her because they work for the division. Given my earlier analogy about how the angels are animals, I have some issues with this. Not enough that it detracts from the story, but basically the end of this story is that the angels capture the Doctor for the division. Through Claire, they say the division has recalled the Doctor, which is kind of leading me to suspect that the division is the main antagonist of Flux. I have my doubts because Swarm and Azure, the Ravagers, are catalysts to the destruction of the universe. And, you know, as we saw in the flashback of Once Upon a Time, the Division tried to stop the Ravagers. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. But, like, that cliffhanger, everyone is talking about that cliffhanger right now. And for good reason. It's really good. Village of the Angels is a good story. It's a great story. You know, really the biggest problem with it is it's so focused on its own plot that when the greater arc sort of peeks in, it kind of feels out of place. The greater arc of Flux, that is. But overall, I'm going to give Village of the Angels an 8 out of 10. But those are just my thoughts on Village of the Angels. Have you heard it? What are yours? Please start a conversation in the comments below. Remember to like, comment, subscribe. Click the bell next to subscribe to get notifications when I upload. And in the description box below, you'll find the link to my Twitter, where you can follow me and get updates on the channel. This is Sir Jedi Sentinel, and I'll see you guys next time.